Sorry about that. I had an interruption. My dog has just tried to eat a magnet, or we thought she may have eaten a magnet, but it appears she's not. We have a moron for a dog. Anyway, she's also eaten some chocolate today, which has got my wife particularly excited. So anyway, she hasn't had much, like a tiny amount, so she'll hopefully be fine. But anyway, there's nothing to do with Skaven. Where are we up to? Oh yeah, rat swarms. So they're pretty cool. I don't know whether that's too high. I mean, it's 15 wounds. It's relatively easy to take off the table. So a little screen that's worth like just over 100 points to protect something bigger. There's a decent use case for them. Pack masters and master moulders. These get attached to rat ogres or giant rats. They are essentially a pack master is plus 7 points, and a master moulder pack master is plus 5 points, and a master moulder is plus 7 points. Normally, or I've seen in other lists, that would essentially be 12. A pack leader of moulders. Have I read that wrong? Okay, yeah. So you can have one pack master for every 2 rat ogres, and one pack master in the whole unit may become a master moulder. So if you've got a unit of like 6 rat ogres, for instance, you can have 3 pack masters for an additional 15 points, one of which can be a master moulder for another. So for 22 points, you can have 2 pack masters and a master moulder in a unit of 6 rat ogres, basically. And the pack master and master moulder must go in the front rank. Any rat ogres or giant rats? No, they go at the rear. Yeah, I said that, and I thought that's not very Skaven. So good. So these guys sit at the back and basically just buff up the leadership of the unit. That's pretty much it. This allows them to fight in an extra rank. So you put them in the second rank, these guys, and they can still add a supporting attack. It's got AP1. I mean, it's strength 3, but it's got AP1. So So it's also got Killing Blow, which is it's like fires this whip with barbs from like the second ramp to wrap around the neck of your foe and just rip its head off as you pull it back. That's more or less what they do. Or things. Oh no, the things catches the weird stick with like a big hooky thing, which goes around its neck and goes plop goes the head. So you got some rat ogres which have heavy armor now. That's cool. They've got this safe from harm rule, which means you always randomise who it hits. So rat ogres or pack masters in shooting, even if you've got more than like the unit for that. I mean, bit weird, but all right. Giant rats. Now, there may be a problem with giant rats, I think, because of the 3 points each. Include Wang Packmaster. 1 Packmaster for every 3 giant rats, 1 Packmaster. So 1 Packmaster can be a Master Moulder. So, but like... you know, 3 points with an unlimited unit size. Like, somebody's going to get a unit of 100 of them, aren't they? And just be a pain in the bum. Because 100 of these, that's 300 points. So it's like 10% of your army to have this massive unit that sits on the table. They've got Warband. They don't have... Rat Ogres have Horde, but giant rats don't. So essentially you got this leadership 9 massive block that just kind of sits there and dies whilst you shoot over it. Maybe, I don't know. That's the use case for giant rats. But 3 point, arguably that have given them like that have made them slightly better and a bit more than 3 points, because that's a bit too low. I mean, you could literally fill the entire table with 2,000 points of giant rats, more or less. Like, just be, oh, oh. Then you got night runners and gutter runners. Night runners are like trainee gutter runners. Basically, these are all like sneaky assassins. Gutter runners then themselves become assassins and then become Eshin assassins and So that's the kind of the hierarchy. They just get slightly better, like a bit more weapon skill. Initiative is pretty high for both. They've got reasonable leadership, but it's not great. And they don't have like the horde and the warband rules, so there's not really much you can do about improving that. Evasive is pretty cool, so if you're going to be shot at, you can make a flee move that you automatically rally at the end of. So if you're going to be shot at, you can retreat essentially 2d6 inches, so you can get yourself within throwing weapon range, do your throwing weapons, then when they turn around and shoot you back, you go back to long range, so you -1 to hit for that and also -1 to hit for skirmishes. So there's a pretty decent use case for these guys. Plague monks have toughness 4, which is great for something that's only 7 points. I mean, that's really good for something that's 7 points. They've got frenzy, which is a bit of a pain in the backside because you've got to charge if you can. Plague sensor bearers also have poisoned attacks. They're strength 5 in combat, AP 1. So it's basically a flail, and they can reroll any rolls to wound of a natural 1. I mean, yeah. 13 points, that's knocking on the door of being the same price as a Chaos Warrior. That doesn't look much like it's equivalent to a Chaos Warrior, I'm afraid. Then you got the Screaming Bell, which again makes your Grey Seer toughness 6. Oh, it's got 5 wounds, so that essentially your Grey Seer goes to an 8 wound. And it's a chariot, and chariots are quite cool as mounts because that means Killing Blow and also Monster Slayer don't work. Killing Blow is if you roll a 6 to hit against something that's got the infantry or cavalry hit 6 to wound, against something that's got the infantry or cavalry special rule, doesn't get armor or regen saves, and it dies. If Monster Slayer is the same against monsters, no armor or regen, you do get wards, but if you don't pass your wards save, if you got one, you die. So that's pretty... So chariots are a really good upgrade for avoiding both of those. It does have dragged along, so it's got a 2-inch move on its own, but if you put it in a unit of clan rats, it goes as quick as the clan rats. So that's pretty good. And it also essentially gives your unit of clan rats impact hits, magic resistance 3, which is pretty mega. The model has a 5 at ward against non-magical. And it has all of these cool effects from tolling the bell. So command subphase, you roll 2d6 and only 2 is bad. So the rest of it is pretty good. This one is just disgusting. But you need to roll 12 for that. So it's not tremendously likely, but everything's pretty good. I really like that. Then you've got the Plague Furnace, which gives your Plague Priest toughness 6 and an extra 5 wounds. So I think that bumps him up to 8 wounds. So that's pretty good. It's got an inbuilt armor value of 4 up. So that's better than whatever your Plague Priest has. And that's an armor value. It's not wearing armor, so you can still be a wizard. So you could take a Plague Priest with 2 spells, put it on a Plague Furnace, got 4 up save, toughness 6, 8 wounds. It's all looking pretty good. It's dragged along again, so you want to put it in a load of Plague Monks, which essentially gives your Plague Monks impact hits and also stomp attacks, because it has this great sensor, so it's like a big sort of thing with this massive ball that's constantly pumping out poison. I should have said permanently pumping out poison and gone for the full alliteration, but anyway. Stomp attacks just have an armor piercing of 2. Which is better than a monster, because a monster's stomp attacks are AP2 against non-monsters, but against monsters, monsters stomp attacks don't have any AP. I think is the rule. I can't remember off the top of my head. I think it's something like that. And this one is just amazing. So, whilst within 3 inches of one or more models with this special rule, the noxious fumes billowing from the great sensor cause enemy units to suffer a -1 modifier to their toughness characteristic. -1 to toughness if you're within 3 inches of it. So you get charged by it, you get impact hits at strength 5. They don't have it's a heavy chariot, so they have AP2. You then get a load of plague monks attack you with poisoned attacks, which is amazing. Then at the end of combat, you get some initiative 1 stomp attacks, which hit you with AP2. Oh yeah, and by the way, your toughness is now -1. So elves at toughness 2, absolutely fantastic, absolutely brilliant. Oh, and by the way, it's also got a breath weapon, which is again strength 2, but no armor saves. Just insane, brilliant. Then you got the Doom Wheel, which, to be honest, is rubbish. It'll just kill itself. Like, I know it always has done, but unlike previous iterations where it kills itself and then it blows up and kills other stuff, it's probably just going to kill itself. So I'm not even going to talk through that. I don't like those rules at all. Hell Pit Abominations are pretty epic because they can not do their normal attacks. They can do either feed and roll 1 dice to hit and do D3 automatic wounds to a single enemy model in combat. So that's like your anti-monster. It just goes and just takes a big chunk out of it. Or it does avalanche of flesh, where it just goes and squishes the unit in front of it. So you put your small blast template, which automatically hits 1 in the middle and might hit the whole thing with strength 6 AP2. So it's a bit like an amazing stone thrower, because stone throwers are like strength 4, I think, AP2. This one's strength 6 AP2, and it also causes terror, doesn't it? I think, yeah, terror. So you're -1 to your leadership tests if you lose. So it's a really good anti-horde monster. It's not bad against other monsters, but it's toughness 5, 6 wounds. I don't think it's got a save. It's got regen 5. Yeah, it doesn't have any armor. It does have warpstone claws, so it's AP1, armor bane 1, magical. Blah, blah, blah. When it dies, however, this is great. I love this rule. Just place a rat swarm of 1 model, and then I love that thing. It just like some rats just appear out of it. Like, where do they come from? Warp lightning cannons are, I think, pretty much what they always were. So you roll, you pick a. So it's important to line this thing up properly in the movement phase, right? Because you need to know what you're going to shoot, and then make sure you don't put any friendly units in between you and it. Because what you then do is you roll 8d6, so you're averaging 28, but 8d6 is fairly variable. And then you draw a line, anything under that line, any model, under that line, takes a hit. Doesn't risk taking a hit, takes a hit, even if it just clips it a little bit. The strength of which is determined by rolling an artillery dice. So between 2 and 10. So it could be strength 10, AP3. Ouchie. If a misfire is rolled, something's gone wrong. And this is... Energy overload is an old rule. I know I wasn't going to compare, but I love all this. You then roll a scatter dice, and the thing shoots that distance of that strength 6 in that direction, which is just great. Like, it's just great. Like, it just spins around a bit and just blasts your entire line and kills a load of rats instead. Oh, I love that. Or it just fails to shoot, or it just goes. Then you got a plague claw, which is like a Nurgly catapult thing, which does Nurgly catapult. Basically it's a mortar. And always wounds on a 6. So it's slightly better than a mortar, and therefore slightly more expensive than a mortar. And the monk crew have some random attacks, and not poison attacks. That's a bit weird. Magic weapons, Fellblade, I've talked about. It's brilliant. Death Globe's sort of interesting, but there's your suit of wizardy armour for your Grace here if you're not going to put him on a bell. Cautious. Oh, I love this. This is so Skaven-y. So essentially, you charge into like a Mega Chaos Lord thing, and you challenge him with like a unit champion, for instance, who's got the Cautious Shield for 20 points. And then you say, I'm going to use this Cautious Shield. I'm not going to like fight. I'm just going to hide under this massive shield and hope you don't kill me. So it improves its AP by 3. So if this is like a Storm Vermin captain who has heavy armor already, it doesn't say that doesn't stack with the normal shield bonus. I think it meant by 3 instead, but rules as written, you get your +1 for shield, and then if you do this one, you get another +3. So you add 4 to your dice rolls, so essentially you turn your Storm Vermin champion into a 1+ save. And then the Chaos Lord and Dragon just spend the whole turn just sort of stamping around on the ground trying to fit, No die. Right, anyway. Oh, I love Skaven. I think they're brilliant. That's awesome. Storm Banner. If you, I mean, it's situational because quite a lot of lists don't really have any flying stuff, but like, especially if you're up against a Gyrocopter spam list, taking that and say, no, your Gyrocopters can move this turn. Sorry, not sorry. That's amazing. Additional D3 combat result points. I mean, just anything that adds to. War Banner's only 25 points, so this is just fantastic. That's pretty much an auto include, to be honest, especially on the Battle Standard Bearer, because that's, the Battle Standard Bearer then becomes 1 plus D3 to a combat. So if you take that in like a decent sized unit, you've probably got a rank bonus of 3, you've got your close order bonus, you've got 1 for your standard, 1 for the Battle Standard Bearer, D3, average 2. You need to kill 8 of them before you're drawing level with that unit. So that's pretty. I mean, it's fairly likely, but I mean, that's a pretty good thing. Stubborn on big blocks of Skaven is fantastic. Now, just to remind you, with Stubborn, I will read the rule rather than try to remember what it said. The first time this unit is required to make a break test in mode, choose not to and will automatically fall back in good order, even if the unit strength of the winning side is more than twice that of the losing side. So I've seen on a few battle reports some people choose to do this later. It's the first time a unit is required to make a break test. So essentially, if you get charged by some knights, get absolutely mullered, you can just decide to fall back in good order, regardless of, don't even roll the dice. Just fall back in good order, and everything's okay. So that's brilliant. It really allows you to do some like clever stuff in terms of advancing a unit forwards, which will then get charged by stuff with frenzy or impetuous perhaps or whatever. Then you can fall back and then flank the unit that has just charged in. So that's awesome. You can give yourself Swift Stride. I mean, it's quite expensive. I'm not really sure why you'd want that, because there's nothing really that hits massively hard on charges. Apart from Plague Monks, maybe you'd want that on Plague Monks. Can Plague Monks take that banner? Because you got Plague Monks with the big sensor thing. What the bloody hell's that gone? Come here, Plague Plessons, Plague Priest, Plague Furnace, that's what it was called. Plague Monks, Plague. Oh, for goodness sakes! Oh no, weapon teams. Blah 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 blah. Where the hell are Plague Monks? Gutter runners. There they are. Yeah, you can. 50 points. Oh, they don't have poisoned weapons. Oh, that's interesting. They also don't. They have poisoned attacks, but these guys don't. They do have frenzy though, so you give them an extra hand weapon because why wouldn't you? So they got 3 attacks each, so that's pretty good. Maybe do it on that, so you're more likely to get like your poisoned attacks off from the big sensor thing that I've literally just plague claw. No, that's the catapult. Plague, rat plague something. No. There was something cool in here. Yeah, Storm Demon. I'd quite like that. That's quite good. It's a bound spell with a power level of 1. So just to remind you, bound spells, you roll your normal 2d6 and add the power level, not the wizard's level. So, because only wizards can take arcane items. So it's not the wizard's level. So essentially you need to roll a 7 to cast it, which is slightly more likely than not, but not massively. It's just better than a 50-50, to be honest. So warpstone tokens you can add, we've talked about. Yeah, you can give a unit frenzy, but it is common. So you could take like a list with a load of storm vermin and like claw lords and stuff like that with Skaven brew just to amp them up before they get a charge off. So that's pretty good. We've talked about these things. Now, the specially Skaven spells. So you've got an amazing conveyance, like 24-inch teleport for a friendly character, and also works in combat, and has a really big range. So that's amazing. That's so good. You know, you got a Skaven wizard in a combat where, you know, they're just going to die, then skittle-leap it away. Warp lightning, D3 plus 1, strength 5 hits, AP 3, 18-inch range, cast on 10. So you need a level 4 really to have a decent chance of getting this off. But oh my word, that's nasty. And with that range, it's pretty, that's nice. And then you got this Cloud of Corruption, which is -1 toughness. So remember, there's another ability which gives you -1 toughness. So you could apply -2 toughness to your opponent unit, and then charge in your Nurgly Priest on a Nurgly chariot thing, and then have a big unit with 3 attacks each, albeit strength 3. However, strength 3 hitting your unit that is now -2 toughness. So goodbye pretty much everything. And that's a wrap. So thanks for listening. Like and share and all the rest. And I'm going to be going through the other PDFs soon. I did try to do a video where I went through the rulebook. However, I forgot to turn my mic on because I'm a seasoned twit. Anyway, toodle pip.